Guys, we told you we are going to show you how to do the 6R80 swap. We've done a couple of them now. It's pretty easy. This kit comes with everything you need as we showed you in the last video. But here's your starter plate. Starter plate's just going to go right over your dowel pins. Then you have your adapter. This is your crank adapter. It goes on the end of your crank. You're going to notice we've cheated and made some lines to make this work a little bit quicker for us. So now I know that I just have to match those lines up right there and my holes work. Here's the beauty. This is not the pretty one. We have the pretty one sitting right over here. Maybe it's going to go on Frank or another project. This Bronco already had a 6R80, so we're just going to use the original one. These dowel pin adapters you have to screw in. They're going to go right here. You're going to take your adapter, slide it on. I'm going to take the rubber mallet. Thank you, Kevin. Tap, 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 tap. You're good. Lastly, Flywheel. Go ahead, buddy. We are going to throw that on, match the holes up. We kind of cheated here, so we know where we're going with ours. I would recommend doing that at home, making some lines. It will make quick work of this job. Throw some thread locker on your screws. We've already done that. Torque to 85 foot-pounds. That's it. We're back at work on the 6R80. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, kind of kicking our butt today. I got the smart guy here, Nathan, though. I told you guys he is smarter than me. He is. So we're going to talk to you about what we've done to the stock Ford shifter, why we made the changes to it, because again, our Bronco's a rock crawler. It's not a show truck. If you have a show truck and doing a 6R80, probably don't need to do any of this stuff. But if you don't, and you have a rock crawler and you want to use stock shifter, this is how you're going to do it.
Hey everybody, Nathan here. So what we're doing is working on an F-150 console shifter. We're trying to modify it, kind of make it a little more sturdy. We've modified this thing to be able to slam it from first gear all the way to reverse in case of emergency. We've had to adjust and sand down, file down some of the gates in here to make it do so. Now that we've done that, what we're trying to do is replace the stock plastic shifter. Like I mentioned before, this thing is kind of cheap and made of plastic. Not a big fan. What we have here is a B&M shifter. It's a replacement shifter made out of billet aluminum. It's got your interlock trigger right here, so you can pull the trigger, go through the gears, and back to park. It also has momentary switches here. This allows you to switch it from one gear up, one gear down in your manual modes. It also comes with a momentary switch, so you can trigger off your overdrive, turn it on or off. So I'm going to show you what I've done to make this thing work and how to do it. The first thing you have to do is get the plastic shifter off. It's fairly simple. All you got to do is get a screwdriver right in between this guy here and just pop it off. It'll pop off just like this. They've got clips in here and they may or may not break, but who cares? The thing is going bye-bye. Move that, a screw on each side. That's what you see right here. That actually allows this thing to slide up. You've got a plug on the bottom side, this guy here, and this green guy here, which this one was already broken. That's for your torque converter. Everything gets unplugged from this side. If you have to take this thing apart for whatever reason, there's clips. There's a clip here, clip here, clip here, and clip here. What I like to do is just grab a flathead screwdriver, and with this thing locked in, you just get in there and pop it up. Just like that. You can only pull it up so far because you do have some LED lights. A couple lights in here. Your plugs are here. Here's the other plug. And you just unplug it, pull your shifter out. Now that we're getting to the actual B&M shifter here, you've got screws here, screws here. I've already taken this side off, which is this guy right here. Remove the screws. What will pop out is this little screw here. It's just sitting inside there. We're going to take this one off. This does take a number 2 Allen, which is metric. Now that you've got it apart, you can see the set screw right there. She will come right out. It's just sitting in there. That's what bolts into the actual shifter rod on both sides. Keep it nice and secure. You can pull this all the way out if you want. There's really no need to. You can fish it back in there fairly easy, but all you got to do is fish your line in through the plastic here. And then you're going to line up this hole with the bigger hole here. The smaller hole allows room for your actual wiring. You're just going to carefully feed it down. And you can do this in the vehicle. This is very easy to do. You just carefully make sure your wires don't get pinched. I had one that was kind of giving me a problem there. You might have to move this little plastic shield here to kind of work with you. Just kind of find a spot for it to slide on down. You can see it starting to come up, and you can see the trigger up here is starting to get into the spring action there. Alrighty. Now that we've got this thing in here, you're going to put your set screw in. The 2 set screws are the shorter ones. They got a little bit deeper taper to them as well. So we're going to put that in there. Now that we're all lined up. And these are a different Allen. These are a 2.5. Of course, they can't make them the same. That would make it too easy. So now that we've got this cinched up, you do not need to over tighten this. There is no need for it. If this backs out and falls out, it's going to be stuck behind the plate here. You're not going to lose it. Even if that does back out, you've got the other side that's still in there. So it's still going to hold it in there. I would say even if both fell out, I don't think it's even going to pop out. They'll probably just be sitting in there, maybe jiggling around a little bit. So now that we've done that, we can actually fish this assembly in. The wiring, which it takes a little finesse here. Wiring going through at the bottom, out of the way. We're going to tuck our wires in through here. It gives you plenty of space. The only moving action is at the top here, so they already thought all that through. And it's okay if you have to squish it down a little bit. There's nothing up on the sides there that's actually going to pinch the wires. As far as these screws, they don't need to be tightened down real tight either. Just cinched up a little bit. Do not use Loctite on them. A good chance that you will fight them coming back out. This side, you can see I already started the one. We've got our set screw already in there. I'm just going to line this bottom one back up there.
I had a question.
Yeah.
If I was going to put nitrous on it, can I control it here?
You could not. Technically, you could. You could do a trans brake too if you wanted.
We could go all. Nathan and I are kind of old dragsters. We're hot rod guys too, and we could go all crazy.
Could go all crazy with it. Absolutely. You'd lose your manual buttons. You wouldn't be able to shift, manually. But
how cool would it be though?
It would
go on a trans brake at a big obstacle.
Just put a big hole right here. Switch here, switch here. Got all sorts of switches. The Quick 6 will actually let you do launch control, nitrous, all that. It actually has some features in there. Well, I take that back. It might not do nitrous, but I know it does launch control. Trans brake as well. So,
anyways, back to rock collar stuff.
I'm going to find the plug here. We're going to try to plug this thing in. It only plugs into one plug, so you got to find the plug. And there it is, the one on the side here. That looks like it. Again, it's only going to plug into one plug. Now you might be seeing some other plugs hanging around here. We took the interlock solenoid out. In case many of you don't know, Ed, where were you?
The Rubicon.
He was at the Rubicon, and his interlock solenoid actually failed him. He got stuck on the trail in park. So what they had to do is actually break the shifter to try to get it to work. If I remember right, you guys even took the shifter off the transmission, the shift cable.
Did, so I ended up taking the shift cable off of that, putting a pair of needle nose pliers on it and shifting it. And
shifting it manually.
Yeah, it worked, but
it got you off the trail, but what a nightmare. So we actually took the shift solenoid completely out. We don't want to deal with that ever again. No. Nothing in this assembly, yes, there's a lot of plastic, but nothing in this assembly should keep us stranded. Knock on wood. So I'm going to try to get this shield back on. Just kind of lining everything up. Everything's clicking. Now, if you have any leftover plugs or anything like that, I recommend just pushing them out the back, out of the way. There's nothing that's moving back there. If they do get in the way, well, it's plastic. It'll move.
So you're probably at home going, well, Ed, why don't you just get a winter shifter? The fact of the matter is, I actually have a winter shifter here in the shop. But I want to show you guys how to do this on a more affordable way. You can go to any junkyard in America and find one of these shifters. You probably have to spend a couple hours on it. I know Nathan's been over there working on it while I've been messing with the fuel injection system on the old man, but it will work and it is affordable. So if you're doing this on a budget, understand that the performance adapter is what it is. The US shift is what it is. Where can you save money? Probably on a shifter. I picked that up for $80 from our local junkyard. So use that as a reference.
Now that we got everything clipped back together, the shield is on, got all the wiring ran in here, just making sure when we run through the action here that none of the wiring is hanging up or gonna get ripped out or pinched. I'm gonna give you an example of what we did to the shift gates in here. With a lot of rock crawling, off-roading, you might get yourself in a situation where you're going up a hill, you feel the front end kind of lift off you, you don't want to roll over backwards. First thing you want to do, if you're in drive, slam her in reverse. Unload that suspension, unload that drivetrain, get her to go rolling back. So, as you can see here, we're in drive right now. Goes right to reverse. We do not have to hit the trigger. Here we're in first gear. We want to go all the way to reverse because we're just crawling real slow up a hill in first gear. Reverse. That's basically what you want in case of emergencies. So that's it. That's the new B&M billet aluminum shifter. I'm going to get everything wired into this thing and get the overdrive switch set up in here and we'll touch back.
Nathan mentioned we are going to go ahead and put our overdrive button in. It comes with your B&M kit. It's this guy right here. So we're drilling a hole right now into the console of the shifter. When I want to go into overdrive, it'll be simple. Push this button. Also, comes with a connector. It's really pretty simple. And I'm not a wiring guy. Nathan's making this look easy, but I think I could do it, maybe.
So we got our overdrive switch mounted. Ed picked a good spot to actually put that. Instead of putting it up here, because it'll interfere with this, it's like a screen sliding mechanism up in here. I didn't want anything binding up and rubbing against wires. So we found another spot, or Ed found another spot, which is right next to the shifter. She sits right here. Just me press of a button, it's gonna disable overdrive, hit it again, it'll reactivate it. The plug-in for this will be underneath the console assembly once we get it in there. The plug, you might see it come out up in here, might be stuck up inside. I just have it going out the back just so it's easy to unplug, to pull everything apart. So we'll just plug that guy in. That feeds into this main harness here for this shifter, which will then plug into the Quick 6 harness that Quick 6 supplied us with. What we're gonna do now is start putting that console back in the Bronco, in the old man there, and we're gonna start wiring up the Quick 6, and we'll try to give you a step-by-step along the way.
Smart guy, Nathan, is working on all of this. So Pops originally wired this for us. Pop's not available, but he'll be available here soon because we're gonna do the fuel tank video together. But we're gonna show you guys the easiest way to wire this. Understand, if you're watching this at home and you have a low car shifter, you could have a Ford shifter, you could have a whole bunch of different options. So you might have to do this differently than us. But we're gonna show you how Nathan's is wired. Maybe it works for you, maybe it doesn't, but you be the judge of that.
For simplicity's sake, again, we're off-roaders. We try to keep things as simple as possible. The quick shift comes with instructions. It comes with resistors for different setups for your coil, reading your tachometer. Comes with a resistor for different types of paddle shifters, for steering wheels, for the manual shifting. In our case, this was already wired previously, and it's got every safety that you could wired into it. Now, I don't recommend wiring anything unless it has safeties in there, but for my sake, or the old man and Ed's sake, we like to try to keep things a little simple. So we're not doing a neutral safety, we're not doing the starter safety, anything like that. We want to keep it as simple as possible. The less wires running around that are going to rub through, that's going to keep us broken down on the trail in the middle of the woods, away from civilization. So basically with the system here, if we look at the harness here, here's the standard Quick 6 controller. This one is not the dash mounted, so this is the entire controller with screen. This is your function knob. You can go in here, adjust a bunch of settings wherever this is mounted without having to plug in a laptop. There is a laptop plug-in right here. Once you get into that, you can adjust even more settings. You can adjust your shift points. You can adjust what your paddle shifters are doing, what your overdrive button actually does when you click it, how many times you have to click it. You can set up launch control. You can set up traction control, how firm your shifts are. You can do a lot of that stuff. The settings underneath this knob here, they're not as advanced, I would say, as plugging in the laptop. So this side here, everything that's plugged into right there, that is basically the trans controller side. So all these wires pretty much go straight to the trans controller. This plug right here, this big wide one, just a single plug, that's your accessories. So this one, you get your power, ground, RPM or tachometer signal, and TPS. Realistically, you can fire this whole thing up with just those 4 wires. You don't have to hook everything up. As long as you have tachometer, TPS, power, ground, this thing will drive down the road and shift. If you want to add anything else, there's a bunch of features in there, which everything's listed inside the book here. I'll run through a few of them for you just to give you an idea, but you do have backup lights, so this can trigger the backup lights when you put it in reverse. That's the transmission, basically sending the signal up saying I'm in reverse. That'll go to your backup lights. You got start neutral safety switches, that way this thing doesn't start unless it's in neutral or park. Your manualtronic, so the manualtronic up and down shift, it is literally 2 wires, that's it. Very simple to do. I think the instructions are a little overcomplicated. You know, it can be overthought really easy. You have a shift in progress light. You can have a light pop up when it's in the middle of a shift. Don't know why you need that, because they shift pretty quick. I guess you just get flashed by a light every time it shifts. Engine RPM input, let's see, a table switch. So the table switch, that pin, and again, all these are coming off this plug. They're just wires come right off there and hook them up where it says to hook them up. Table switch would go to an actual switch. That right there allows you to switch from maybe a more aggressive tune-up in the transmission, like aggressive shifting, or maybe you're on the trail. You want the transmission to run first gear only, or just second gear only. You can switch it over to that table that you have set up so to do the things you want. You can also set it up to where if you go to low range, it'll do different things as well. So we have overdrive lamp, we've already done that, backup, speedometer out. There is a speedometer out wire. Pretty sure on this, when I was reading, you can run a gauge off the speedometer output wire, because the transmission actually has its own speedometer, or speed sensor, excuse me. It has its own speed sensor. The F-150s from the factory run off of wheel speed sensors. So if you're using a factory engine harness and ECU, that one's gonna run off of speed sensors. The aftermarket stuff, the transmission actually can read all that. And how it calibrates is you put your tire size into the settings, either in the controller or in the laptop. Tire size and gear ratio. And the computer does all the rest for you. As far as all the other information, it tells you everything you need to know pretty much in these instructions here. I didn't really have anything that caught my eye that I think they need to address. As far as making things complicated, I mean, it can get complicated real quick if you read too far into this. It doesn't need to have every single thing hooked up to get it running. Do I recommend it to be safe? No, absolutely not. As far as shifters go, there's differences between the F-150 shifter, the Lockar shifter. I'll give you an example of my shifter too. Okay, so what I have is a Winters Sidewinder shifter. This has all been a custom project of mine. This does operate the 6R80. I'm running that B&M shifter. When Ed bought that thing, I said, hey, I want that, because I had my switches on the side.
Hold on. Nathan sent it to me and said, Ed, you should get this. So I got it. He came over and looked at it first and then went and bought it.
That is true. That is true. Once I looked at it, I said, you know, that shaft diameter looks pretty close to mine. said, "Hey Ed, can I borrow the shifter?" So actually, this is actually Ed's original shifter. I actually used it and then bought a new one, and gave him the new one still in the package. So yeah, as soon as I saw it, I thought it was pretty dang neat. I thought I can adapt that. I had to cut my shaft down, but anyway, I've got the wires. It's 3 wires that come out for the 2 shifter manutronic solenoids here, and it runs down through the harness. I originally had my shift switch on the side here, which is a pain in the butt. My overdrive is right here. This is overdrive off, overdrive on. The light right here does light up when it does that. But my setup's a little different. I've got the remote dash here, or the remote screen. So
He fancy.
yeah, I didn't really have a spot to stick my controller. I don't have a nice center console like Ed does to have stuff like that mounted.
You love that center console.
It's a love-hate. Love-hate with that center console.
I think
I have a problem with the screws, okay?
You know what I think we should do? I think we should take them for a drive and show them what the shifter does and how it lights up and what it does.
Yeah, we can do that. Let's take them for a drive.
Okay.
All right.
You want to go for a ride with us in this beast? Yes, it's stretched. Yes, it's on tons. Yes, it's on 40s. I love this Bronco. Park, reverse, neutral. It's going to tell you the temperature of the transmission, the speed, and obviously we're in park.
This thing's pretty cool. This is why we have the 6R80. We're driving around a rock crawl Bronco on 40s with 538s on tons, and we can go wherever we want. Hats off, Performance Adapters. You made this possible. I know Nathan and I love it, and I'm sure many of you guys at home, if you're watching this or considering doing it, we would tell you that it's probably one of our favorite upgrades we've done. Is it easy? No. Is it time consuming? Yes. Is it expensive? Yes. Is it worth it? Absolutely. Guys, I know this hasn't been an exact how-to on how to do this, but I hope you've enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed seeing Nathan in some videos. Appreciate all his time and energy. We'll see you guys again real soon.
Please like.
Please follow.
Please subscribe.